lovely people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shen and thank you so much for watching or checking this video out. This time I'm going to be doing a November book haul. I don't think I'll be doing that regularly, like every month, because I tend to not buy that many books because it's more cost effective for me to read it on my Kindle, even though I prefer physical books, but priorities. But this month it was my birthday, so some of my lovely friends got me some books and I also treated myself a little bit. So yeah, let's just jump right in. The first book I want to talk about is my most recent purchase. It's Mrs. S by Kate Patrick, which is their debut novel. Yes, their debut novel. Super excited because I heard some good things about it. And to summarize from what I understand, because I don't look up too many things before I read something, because I want to have that excitement and trying to figure things out as I'm reading. So yeah, from the synopsis, it's about this Australian woman who goes to work in this English boarding school and she becomes the matron, but then she has to deal with being this outsider in this scenario and not being able to hide that because of her accent, and also dealing with things such as her body image, and just how she has to fulfill her new role at the boarding school. And then, of course, she meets someone, and that's Mrs. S, which is the headmaster's wife, and they become very close girl pals over the summer. Yeah, so I'm curious to see how that will be. It's not much of a seasonal read, but I think it'll be fun. Not much for like affairs, like as main plot most of the time, but I'm quite intrigued. So Mrs. S. Book number 2 on the list is God's Children Are Little Big Things by, oh, that was completely wrong. Yeah, next book is God's Children Are Little Broken Things by Arinze Ifakandu. Super excited about this. I'm mostly excited about it because my friend and roommate, she recommended it to me and mentioned how the prose is very beautiful. And I love me a little bit of prose. I love when I'm reading something, I'm just like not every sentence, but like a lot of within the same page, I'm just stopping myself and going back to reread what I just read because it was so beautiful. Yeah. So the book takes place in Nigeria and it's 3 short stories, and all 3 of these short stories explore themes of love and also about queerness and how that affects one's relationship with those around them, such as their family. So super excited to read it. Slightly terrified I'm gonna cry my eyes out, but it has to happen sometimes. So yeah, my next book is the novel Sprite by Mika Sastrovejo, and I'm quite excited about this as well because the author is a friend of mine and he self-published it, so I'm very curious to read it. The book is about Marlo and Dante, and Marlo is an author, but he passes away in high school before being able to complete his wish, which is to finish a novel he was working on. So Dante then kind of retraces Marlo's steps to figure out how to finish the novel for him, trying to kind of put himself in Marlo's headspace. So probably another tearjerker, but excited. Next book is Days at the Morisaki bookshop, and this is by Satoshi Yarisawa, and I actually did read this and it was really fun. I haven't read something as short in a while, and had forgotten how much of an impact like a it can still have on you. And it was just very mellow in a very positively. It was split in two segments. So you follow the main character, whose name I forgot because I always forget. Takako. Yeah, you have Takako, who's our main character, and just about. It's a very. For me, it has like that same sentiment as found family, even though she is finding her family kind of with her inner actual family. It makes sense. So yeah, it's very fluffy, very nice. I felt a little bit emotional at some point, but I was literally in the train, so I was trying to hold it together. It's fun. I would recommend it. I think it's a nice little read to have. In contrast to the Morisaki bookshop, this one's a bit chunkier. It's The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, but it's the revised edition. I actually have not read the original publication of it, but I read A Day of Fallen Night and The Priory of the Orange Tree, and I love those. They were so good. I love when I get into a fantasy and just have such an immersive reading experience with it. I can imagine it, you know? It's fun. It's fun. That sounds, yeah, I like it. So yeah, I'm super excited to get my hands, like, just to start it, but I have some academic responsibilities, so I'm gonna wait with this one until I have a bit more free time. Also, I have to be completely honest, I'm not completely sure what it's about. I read the synopsis just now to try and summarize it a little bit. I'm not sure how to summarize it. It's giving secret society maybe a little bit, but probably not. A little bit of academia peeking through, I feel. The setting's Oxford, but like a fantasy version of it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Maybe I'll put like a little bit onto the screen to describe it better, but I don't think I can describe it better out loud currently. I'll be honest. I'll admit defeat. Yes. This is a Dutch book. It's called De Avond is Ongemak by Lucas Reineveld. And I got this as a gift from my roomie as well. It's a book that takes place in the Netherlands, and it's about dealing with loss and grief within this farmer's family after they lose one of their children. I think it won an award. I'm pretty sure it won an award, or maybe it was nominated for it. There's an English version of it. I'll put the title up in the video. And don't have much to say about it, to be honest, because I don't know what it's about, but that's how I like it sometimes. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. Also because I have not been reading in Dutch at all for years now. Ever since I graduated from high school, I've just been reading in English, because a lot of the books I at least read in high school were originally written in English, and I felt comfortable reading English, and it just became a habit to read in English. So I just stopped reading in Dutch. But I have noticed that my Dutch has gone a bit shit. So it's time to read in Dutch again, because the Netherlands also has quite a vibrant like literacy scene. So I'm happy to explore that a little bit more. Okay, the next book I very much loved. I read this towards the beginning of November, I believe. Super good. It's Time Shelter by Georgi Gospodina, who's a Bulgarian author, and this also partially takes place in Bulgaria, but also in other European countries. And the concept is that at first it's very much about Alzheimer's, or maybe it's not, who knows, and creating these little time shelters for people with Alzheimer's to find sanctuary in as they forget everything, but they still remember those moments from when they were younger, a couple decades ago. But then how this concept just keeps growing, and then suddenly you have time shelter village, etc., etc., and kind of how why this would happen, could happen. And it's fair. Sometimes it was a bit, I had to pause whilst reading because I didn't really get it as quickly. But yeah, I had such a fun time reading it. I think it was well written. They're a bit chaotic, but I feel like it's on purpose. So let it slide. Yeah, it's good. I would recommend it. I had a blast reading it. But I enjoyed it. So well, I feel like if you know a bit more about European history in general, you have a lot of reference moments in it that you might enjoy. For me, I recognized a lot of it, but not all of it, so it was also a learning experience, which I enjoyed. So, the next book is going to be Book of Night by Holly Black. I have not read the Cruel Prince trilogy, but I was excited for this one and got my hands on it, and I also read it. I finished it a couple days ago, I believe, and it's about our main character whose name I forgot. Charlie. How did I forget that? So it's about our main character Charlie, who used to be a bit in the shady business of conning, but in this world there's a magical element to it, which has to do with your shadow and how some people are able to quicken or awaken their shadows, and you have people who adjust their shadows, and people who are able to do this, and you have a lot of shady business going on, but also kind of scary stuff going on. I'd probably be scared shitless if I lived in this book. Yeah, and it has to do with how Charlie tried to kind of get out of the shady business in relation to this shadow world, because you can also steal people's shadows. That's also part of it, but she gets dragged back in because life, and it has to do with that, and I think it was fun. I found the ending was a little bit rushed, in my opinion, which I didn't enjoy as much. I wasn't a super big fan of the ending, but I did enjoy reading it, and I think the characters were layered quite nicely. I enjoyed how Holly Black wrote this. An interesting thing to me though is how Charlie, the main character, I feel like she resembles a lot of the YA main characters I read when I was younger, but then more fleshed out, a bit more, still flawed, but more sympathetic somehow. I enjoyed it. I liked it. So yeah. Alright, the next book is a little bit more in the mystery category, I believe. It's The Sentence by Louise Erdrich. I forgot both those and had to look at it. And it takes place in this independent bookstore, and it has to do with how this really annoying customer died, but is still haunting the place. And then our main character, Tuki, I believe. Yeah, Tuki has to figure out why the ghost is still there and how to get rid of the ghost. But on the background, there's also more things going on. And I think the beginning sentence kind of explains it. It says, a wickedly funny ghost story, a tale of passion, of a complex marriage, and of a woman's relentless errors. So that piqued my interest. And I also got this as a gift. Most of these were a gift. And thank you to my friends. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I feel like it was like a fun read when you're trying to relax, but then maybe it takes you by surprise. That's how I think of it. Also, I've never heard of this book, so excited to get my paws into it, because most of the books nowadays that I read, I have heard of before. So whenever I get my hands on one I have, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Just go in blind. I just read the synopsis, but alright, the last book is a poetry collection by Emily Dickinson, and it's called The Single Hound. It is, yay. And I've just slowly been making my way through this because, oh yeah, look at this cute bookmark. Wait, ooh, okay, almost lost my place in the book. I don't know if it's gonna be focused on the camera, but I think it's so cute. I got this at Comic-Con at one of the stalls. Let me put it back in the book. And I've been enjoying it. I've been trying to get more into poetry I've been trying to get more into poetry this year because I enjoy writing it, but I don't read it as much. So I'm like, what's up with that? So I've been doing that and I've been enjoying it. It's nice to have a poetry book whilst reading another book. In my opinion, I like having them at the same time because sometimes I want to just read for a little bit, so poetry. Sometimes I just want to delve into a story, like a more long format. I take a novel. And I don't enjoy rushing through poetry either, because at that point I don't register anything at all anymore, and it's just stream of words with no impact. So I'll try to space it out a little bit, maybe a week, maybe 2, maybe a month, depends on the poetry collection. Alright, thank you so much, and that was all for this week and for this book haul. I have no clue if you can see this because my camera, I can't see my screen, but thank you so much for watching the video. I hope it was enjoyable. If you've read any of these books, feel free to share your opinions, preferably spoiler free. I'm very curious to hear about it, and if there's any that piqued your interest, I'm also curious about that, so please let me know. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye bye!